that our neighborhood has moved.
We're in the past, aren't we?
How the hell is that even possible?
Welcome back to Dunker's house.
You just did it. I was zoning in. You just did it. You took it. Not just Dunker's house. It's Toby's Takeover.
Toby's Takeover.
We're back for another Toby's Takeover.
Unfortunately, Toby could not stand how long it was taking to set up the
Yeah.
filming.
He was ready to
bailed.
take over, and then setting the studio up takes just under an hour and a half, so he's like, I'm out of here. We're back in the house, Dunker's house. We went and saw a movie in the theater again. This time we saw The End of Oak Street.
Yes.
I'm going to say right up front, like, I think this is one that people should go get their butts in the seats in the theaters for. So many, like, sequels and remakes and prequels and adaptations and everything like that hits the theaters so often, and it makes tons and tons of money because it's bankable. You know what I mean? Star Wars is going to make you money. It's not every day you get a cool new IP that it's not connected to anything at all. It's just a filmmaker wanted to make a movie and he put it out, and it's really enjoyable, and this is how we go support it, go to the theaters. It's clear people are going to the theaters. Brand New Day made just a hair under $14 billion. So yeah. People are going to the theaters. Go see End of Oak Street. Go check it out. I'm going to say that right up front. Then I'll dive into, very briefly, our unfortunate... I really hate speaking ill of anything in my hometown. I love Youngstown dearly, and I hate speaking ill of anything in Youngstown, but we got to stop going to our theater. Once again, the projection was awful. It wasn't bright. The colors were off. It was all muddy. You had trouble seeing any of the details, but that wasn't even nearly as bad as legitimately the worst audio mix I've ever experienced in my entire life.
To the point where it was hard to hear what people were saying in the movie.
Nearly impossible. Yeah. The dialogue, and I don't understand how, I have no idea how films are projected these days. I don't know whether there's individual tracks or things, but presumably there's some knobs that those guys mess with, because the dialogue track on ours was non-existent. It was crushed into oblivion. So anytime music played, you couldn't hear any dialogue at all. And that sucks because most of the songs that we like jamming out to were all diegetic. People were like listening to a radio or they had their headphones on. And diegetic sound is like on the same track as the dialogue. So you couldn't even hear the music. It sucked. It was really hard to watch. We went and said something.
Twice.
Yeah, both of us individually went and said something. And, to the manager's credit, he was like, oh, it's probably just a bad mix in the movie. But unfortunately, we've seen the Dune trailer like 16 times at this point. And I can generally hear the chanting and the dialogue in the Dune trailer. And I couldn't hear it this time. So it was definitely that theater. That out of the way, that made it a little bit tough to kind of judge the movie. But we'll kind of push that out of the way. And we'll judge it based on what it is.
We did have some of the distracting... This was a movie where other people were actually there.
Yeah, other people were there.
And they talked through it all.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I didn't find that nearly... I think I was so distracted by how much I hated the audio mix that I didn't mind them talking.
We also had a vapor.
Yeah, there was a guy vaping 5 rows in front of us. I leaned over and I was like, can you hear any of... Is there a guy vaping right there?
Yeah, I just see this cloud of smoke coming up. Like, what the heck?
Whatever. We got to go to a different theater. That aside, let's talk about the movie. I think we have slightly differing opinions, and that's fine, as Ebert and Siskel often did. We have slightly differing opinions. I think generally we both enjoyed it a good bit. Yeah, I loved it. I really, really, really loved it a lot. I said to you when we were coming home from it that you and I will never be able to go watch Jurassic Park in the theater again when we were kids. We'll never be able to go watch The Goonies in the theater again, or E.T. I think this is about as close as kids today can have to having that experience we had of seeing those big epic adventures in the theaters.
Amid widespread criticism that the PG-13 film is too violent for young children, most viewers had nothing but rave reviews.
It was fantastic. It was so scary.
It really was the most exciting film I've ever seen.
I think if not for the laugh lines in it, people would have had heart attacks.
That they were able to get such a visceral, immediate response. I mean, it didn't say this is an effect. It was like, bam.
Well, I'm still shaking from it. It's scary.
I think it's really worthwhile for people to go check it out. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's a big epic adventure movie. It's what it is. We can kind of talk real briefly about like the plot, I guess. If you've seen the trailers, which I'm assuming most people have seen the trailers.
Yeah.
This town, this little neighborhood on Oak Street. Hey, Tubbs.
The takeover's happening.
The takeover's happening. This chunk of neighborhood on Oak Street gets pulled from their modern life and dropped off in presumably like prehistoric
times.
It's never really made clear, but yeah, prehistoric times, and dinosaurs run amok. And that's kind of the whole plot of the movie, really. It's this family, husband and wife and their 2 kids. It's Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor play the husband and wife. I don't know how you felt about Anne Hathaway. I think
it's weird. I felt like a weird movie for her. I feel like she did a good job.
Yeah.
She probably had the most complex character.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yep.
And she did a good job. It just, for some reason, it was weird seeing her in the movie. Like
Okay.
it doesn't seem like the type of movie she'd be in.
Yeah. So her and Ewan McGregor are kind of I don't know, they're kind of a strained couple. Their marriage is wearing a bit thin. It's kind of implied that her bags are packed and she's ready to go at any moment, but she's also kind of talking herself out of that. The first 45 minutes or so of the movie are kind of setting up the neighborhood. They're introducing us to this family, and kind of settling into things. It was neat because, much like some of the best movies, it takes its time before you see the monster. It's 45 minutes in before they even give a hint that there's anything out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's just like little things, like flashes of light.
Yep. Yeah. And that the plant shows up at the
poop.
neighbor's house, a big pile of poop. Yeah. The one neighbor complains that their dog Starbuck is digging in too much stuff, and it's not Starbuck because he's a teeny tiny little dog.
Yeah, and speaking of Starbuck, maybe we should touch on the fact that going in, we didn't know what time period this movie took place in.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about it.
And it appears to be early 80s. I think it was 1982.
1982, they specifically say it's 1982. Yeah.
So, and that was really cool because it like they had the town looked like it was from 1982.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything they did really looked like the time period, and it wasn't like overdone. It was just a very subtle.
Yeah, it looked
which
like
is why I
1982.
feel like at first we didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't like, Stranger Things like layers on the 80s so much that you're like, it's a character of it. You know what I mean? This one didn't feel like a character. Every time they'd go into a room, you'd be like, oh my God, we had those sheets. I'm pretty sure we had those paper plates. Like, I remember having that radio. It felt like we were back in the 80s. It was pretty neat for a minute. It didn't feel overdone.
And Starbuck is the first thing that clued me in that something was weird about the time frame, because I thought they named the dog after Starbucks coffee.
Yeah, I just mentioned to you before we set up filming, because I was reading through my thoughts on it. Yeah, they named the dog Starbuck. Starbuck is named after a character from the show Battlestar Galactica, the original run, and Starbuck, interestingly enough, to go along with our The Bad Pack review, was played by Dirk Benedict, who played Faceman on the A-Team. He was a cigar-chomping, Han Solo-esque swashbuckler on Battlestar Galactica, so they named their dog Starbuck.
It's just, a family in the 80s, and it's very much played like just a slice of life kind of movie, where you got the boys, they're spying on the new girl. The son is played by Sweet Tooth.
I don't remember that kid's name.
I don't remember his name, but if anybody has seen the show Sweet Tooth on Netflix, highly recommend.
Yeah.
Him and his friends have a whole thing going on where obviously there's bullies chasing them. Very typical family movie type things. There's the bullies, they're spying on girls. He's taking over the air too.
Yeah. There's a side plot of like the one kid wants to like beat Sweet Tooth up because he broke his brother's arm, and We never really learn what that, like like you said, it's a slice of life. We're just dropped into the middle of it. You never learn whether he broke the kid's arm or what happened or anything. It's just
the daughter is getting ready to go to college, and she keeps talking about Carl Sagan.
Yep. Yeah, she talks about reading Cosmos. We see her reading a book on the moon landing. She's got a bunch of scientific posters. She's got like an Einstein poster and stuff in her room. So she's a science nerd. Yeah, we're getting those set up. The Anne Hathaway's character is kind of secretly writing a novel. She's trying to be a writer. She's tucked away in the basement so her husband doesn't find out she's writing a novel. She's got her neighbor editing it. Her neighbor is who gets the cool flower pop up in her front yard that no one can identify.
Meanwhile, the dad's delivering pizza.
Dad's delivering pizzas to make ends meet.
Yeah, it's a bit of a embarrassment to the family, apparently.
Yeah.
Or to the mom.
Yeah.
So at first I was like, oh, I guess maybe I don't remember. In the 80s, that was a good job. And he's like, we got to take this pizza thing off the top of the car so your mom doesn't get mad.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sets up the family for a while, and then you start getting more and more hints that there's something out there. You see like a brief flash of a dinosaur tail or something, and then at a certain point, about an hour in, like shit kind of hits the fan.
Shit hits the fan.
What the hell's going on?
The dinosaurs show up. They come to the realization that something has happened to Oak Street, and dinosaurs run amok. And now it's just a classic adventure movie with this family trying to figure out how the heck we're going to survive a dinosaur invasion, basically.
Yeah, like we were watching the trailers, and the trailers really push it like a horror kind of movie, but it is a very interesting movie because it does start out as just sort of a feel-good kind of thing. Then you kind of get into this adventure, like it feels like an 80s adventure movie. And then at a certain point, something happens that twists it all.
Yeah, there's some horror elements throughout,
because you go in there and you're like, oh, it's PG-13. No big deal. But there are people that die.
Yeah,
it's not like gruesome.
Yeah.
It's not like graphic or anything. But there's still consequences.
And I don't know how desensitized kids are these days. Like, I don't know, 13, 14-year-olds. I don't know how desensitized they are. I think this pushes the PG-13 rating just about as far as you can push it. It's a bit like Gremlins. You know what I mean? Like when you watch Gremlins and you're like, holy cow, they let kids watch this? Gremlins had a lot of... and this is the same way. It pushes the boundary of what you can do with PG-13. So don't let that get in the way.
Jurassic Park, same thing. I mean, every kid's favorite part is when that man gets eaten off the toilet.
Yeah.
So
don't let the PG-13 rating scare you off, man. It never feels like a PG-13 movie. Not one single second does it feel PG-13.
It doesn't have to be gross to make it good. They managed to make a good movie and keep it PG-13.
And there's a lot of cool. There's a bunch of identifiable dinosaurs in it. Like you can look at them and you recognize certain dinosaurs.
Yeah, they don't make them 80s style dinos like giant lizards. They do have the feathers on them.
Yeah.
Like they
appropriately sized. The raptors are yay big.
Well,
there's a tortoise that shows up that I don't think really existed. There's a weird slime monster that looks, and you won't get this, Jason will know. It kind of reminded me of the thing they fought in Red Sonja underwater when Falcor's stabbing the... Anyway, we'll watch Red Sonja and talk about it eventually.
Okay.
There's a bunch of cool dinosaurs. There's a bunch of cool dinosaur action.
I felt too like there was some very slight nods to Jurassic Park, but not crazy. Like there's a point where the sort of T-Rex pushes the car over. But then they do a different car scene, and it's like, oh, but it, like it's kind of touches towards that, but it isn't like, oh, they're trying too hard.
Yeah, he bashes into their Oldsmobile Delta 88.
Yeah, and there was another scene too, but I can't remember what it was, where it was like, oh, this is like Jurassic Park, but different.
Yeah.
I feel like they handled it well.
What are we gonna do?
We're gonna survive.
So this movie was directed by David Robert Mitchell, who, having now watched the trailers, I know. When we saw his name come up in the theater, I was like, oh, I don't really recognize this guy. And I feel a bit ashamed, but he directed It Follows and another movie that nobody apparently even mentions called Under the Silver Lake. It had Andrew Garfield in it, and I think her name's Ricky Lindholm. It's another just kind of hard to define movie, like what it even is. But this director is really talented. All three of his movies have a lot of like real filmmaking elements for one thing, and he clearly is paying homage to like Steven Spielberg. He's paying homage to in this. Like I mentioned to you before we started filming, there's a lot of overlapping dialogue, like a Robert Altman movie. There's a lot of like really cool camera tricks that happen. We were watching, there's a scene where the family's all in the living room and they're talking, and you know they're set kind of in a cardinal square in a cardinal cross from each other. And at one point you see like Anne Hathaway talking, and they're off in the distance, the daughter is in focus, and I looked over at you and I went, oh, split diopter shot. So that where you pull focus on two different subjects at two different focal depths is a split diopter shot. It's really neat. You don't see those very often.
Well, we see them a lot in this movie.
Yeah, unfortunately they overused it just a hair, but
I don't think it would have been too noticeable had you not pointed it out.
Yeah,
like if I went in not realizing that was something special, I probably just would have been like,
I don't think most moviegoers know what a split diopter shot is. There was a Hitchcock zoom at one point. They had a really cool crash zoom at one point. There was a lot of really neat filmmaking tricks that you haven't seen in probably 20, 25 years of people making movies, because you just don't do that stuff with modern cameras anymore. And he was pulling it off. I told you there was one scene I really loved where I'm pretty sure it's Anne Hathaway talking to her neighbor. And those two are kind of talking to each other about whatever it is. And they're off in the distance. You can see Sweet Tooth and his friends approaching. He's a good 150 yards away. And slowly his dialogue starts kind of overlapping their dialogue. And as it gets slightly more and more loud, the camera starts to kind of pull up from Anne Hathaway a bit and move through their conversation and slowly zoom in on Sweet Tooth and his friends. Boy, that was a really neat shot, man. That's like a filmmaker shot. It's cool. And it really adds to the movie, in my opinion. Like seeing all these neat tricks, like it really adds to it. It really makes it feel like a real movie.
Yeah.
The score also I want to mention. So
I was just about to say there was good music through the whole thing.
Yeah.
too.
So quick music shout out. Two in particular I want to shout before I talk about the score. Turning Japanese by the Vapors was playing. I was absolutely dancing and singing in my seat for Turning Japanese. It's a little not PC these days, so I probably won't be playing it in my car. But listen, man, it's a great tune. I was absolutely belting it out. Then a short while later, the daughter's like crying in her car, I think, about something, possibly getting stranded in the Jurassic period.
She's having her emotional meltdown in the car.
Just as Valerie by Steve Winwood starts playing.
She popped the tape in and she's jamming out. And honestly, I thought that scene was great because you saw like the struggle she was going through, but at the same time, the whole time I had this very anxious feeling that why are you making so much noise in the car with the headlights on?
Yeah, and I was definitely helping her out making noise because I was singing along with Valerie by Steve Winwood. I just can't wait for that part. I'm the same boy I used to be. Yeah, I was singing along that one. I loved. There was a bunch of really good songs in the movie, to be honest, but those two in particular stood out. I was dancing. The score for this one is again Michael Giacchino. I looked up his name. I hope I pronounced it right. Michael Giacchino. He also did the score for Brand New Day. Like I mentioned in our review of that, he does tons of like Disney kind of movies and like big major productions. And Brand New Day, I don't think I noticed the score really. Nothing really stood out. It just,
Not really.
I was paying more attention to the movie. Partially this time because of the fact that the dialogue was crushed and all we could hear was the score oftentimes. But man, it sounded like an old John Williams, Steven Spielberg score.
Yeah.
It was pushing the movie forward. Every time it was playing, it felt like you were watching...
Very nostalgic.
Yeah.
Of like watching a good movie when we were young.
It felt like you were watching Indiana Jones or like Hook or Jurassic Park. Any of those like John Williams, Steven Spielberg collaborations. It felt like you were watching that. It was great, man. The music was really slamming. Almost everything about this movie really worked for me. I know you had mentioned, and I think I had seen also, there's a little bit of maybe banter is the right word to say about, is it a horror? Is it a comedy? Because there's jokes and
there's things that happen where you're like, you kind of laugh. There's definitely people laughing at stuff in the theater, and then some of those I was like, I'm not sure if that was supposed to be a laugh or if that was supposed to be a scary part.
Yeah.
But it kind of throws you because you're not used to that kind of movie anymore.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying to you is like, on the one hand, I get it. There's definite horror elements. Like he clearly pushes the horror aspect in a couple of spots really, really well. There's definitely a lot of very intentional jokes. Like there's a bunch of funny jokes in the movie. The neighbor standing on the roof shooting at the pterodons with his gun. There's a bunch of there's
a particular scene I don't want to spoil, but it involves a jump.
Yeah.
And I think that
that
couldn't have been anything but a joke.
Yeah, and it has classic like Indiana Jones adventure, has Tremors style adventure. And like I mentioned to you, think back, like what kind of movie was Goonies? What kind of a movie is Indiana Jones? What kind of a movie is Tremors? You know what I mean? It's just it's a fun action adventure movie, and it's got some horror, and it's got a little bit of drama, and it's got a little bit of comedy, and it's got a little bit of adventure. This one really hits on all the cylinders, man. It was a lot of fun. I really had a ton of fun in the theater. You know, again, putting aside the fact that our projection was bad, but with the movie itself, boy, I had a ton of fun. I really, really liked it a lot. I'm excited for whatever David Robert Mitchell does next. I don't remember the dates, but I think It Follows was like 2015 or 2016. I think Under the Silver Lake was 2018. So it's been a good 8 years since he's made a movie. All the marketing I saw for this one said J.J. Abrams. So honestly, I went into this thinking, oh my gosh, a new J.J. Abrams movie. And I remember hearing some hubbub a couple of months ago that there was a new Cloverfield project coming out. I think anytime Bad Robot is attached to a movie, it's the new Cloverfield project. Because you know how they drop secret Cloverfield movies here and there. I think now looking back, I think people thought this was going to be another secret Cloverfield movie because Bad Robot's attached and J.J. Abrams is producing. But as far as I can tell, it's not. Maybe they'll work it in some other time. No, this is just a wholly independent IP. This is just a writer-director who wanted to make a cool movie and did an incredibly good job making a cool, fun movie. It was great. I give it it's probably an 8 out of 10 for me. Maybe I'll watch it again and it'll go up a little bit, but it was great. I loved it a lot.
That's funny. You loved it so much, and I was probably going to say maybe like a 9 out of 10. But I kind of want to. I really want to watch it again.
I want to be able to see what happens and hear
I want to be able to experience it with the correct sound.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd probably go 8 or 9 out of 10. So we'll say 8.5.
8.5. Yeah. I wanted to mention one thing that was funny. There was, and it's not funny, but there was a scene where there's like a snake. There's like a weird white snake slithering through the house, and the daughter is listening to music. And you can see the snake slithering there. She doesn't notice because she's engrossed in probably a Carl Sagan book and listening to her music. But our audio track was so completely crushed that you couldn't hear what she was listening to in her headphones at all. And instead, all you could hear was the wet, disgusting sliding sounds of the snake slithering through. And you're looking at it and you're like, surely these people understand that we, the audience, are supposed to hear the music and barely faintly make out that slithering sound and not, I think there's music there, but I can't hear it over how wet and disgusting this snake sounds shimmying through the house. That scene stood out to me. And that was also the scene where my favorite audience interaction occurred, which is the people in front of us are watching this snake and the guy goes, the hell is that thing? And the woman next to him is like, I don't know, big ass snake. So we thought these guys were together, right? They all sat in the same row.
They sat in the same row. The theater was nowhere close to full.
No, it was basically empty. They sat in the same row. They were talking to each other. They were interacting throughout. You know what I mean? You thought maybe they were going to share popcorn even. We finish up, we go walking outside, and they're standing in the parking lot. And he goes, well, it's nice to meet you. I'm sorry I was swearing in front of you so much. Then they go their separate ways. They don't even know each other. Talking out loud during the movie about the most mundane stuff too.
Yeah, it was strange.
It was a weird
strange experience.
Yeah, it was a weird experience. All that aside, love
when
it.
we still give it a high praise.
Yeah, I
so
still give it a high.
It's still worth it.
Yeah, go see it in the theater. Check it out. Give this guy your money. Let the studios know you want to see more of somebody who really knows how to make movies.
Yeah.
Keep your eye out for the cool split diopter shot. Keep your eye out for the Hitchcock zoom. Hitchcock zoom is also called a dolly zoom, if you're wondering. That's where you dolly in and pull back at the same time, giving you that kind of effect where the background shifts. Anyway, keep your eye out for the Hitchcock zoom. Listen to the music. Sing and dance to the Vapors. Sing and dance especially to Steve Winwood when he comes on. Because if you're not singing Valerie at the top of your lungs mid-movie theater experience, you're just missing out.
What about the people who are out there getting eaten?
That's, I think, all we have to say, right?
That's all I gotta say. Just go see it.
Go see it. Okay. Well, thanks. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Any spiders?